The Senior Rehab Project is supported by the Game Changers, a group of motivated rehab clinicians that are crushing mediocrity and advancing care for older adults. You can join this group of people and get access to the private Facebook group, the monthly meetup with article discussions, and have a say in the direction of this movement. Get off the sidelines and get involved. Just go to seniorrehabproject.com/Game Changers. Hit me!
This is a Senior Rehab Podcast, the podcast for rehab clinicians that want to better serve older adults.
Hey, Senior Rehab Podcast listeners, it's Nicole here with some of the Game Changers, and we are talking about the LIFTMOR trial. High-intensity resistance and impact training improves bone mineral density and physical function in postmenopausal women with osteopenia and osteoporosis. So there was a lot of things that we liked about this, and I know we've been kind of harsh on the research lately, but this one I think we were all really happy with for a lot of different reasons. Tali, what did you think? I know you and I were both real excited about this one.
Yeah, I was really excited about it because although we do a segment that is all about research, I don't like reading research that much when it's it's not. Let's rephrase it. Let's rephrase it. I go through things and I'm like, oh, this is boring, or like, oh, this is like obviously not written for clinicians to read and implicate. And this one was so obviously written in a they never dumped things down, but it was written in a way that you can read and say, oh, this I can definitely do with my patients, or that you can definitely see what they did there.
Yeah. The description of like what was going on, what the setup was, all of those things.
Yeah, and just, it kind of took you step by step. It gave you the rationale behind everything. They didn't say, oh, we chose 8 months because that's why. No, they chose it based on studies of bone growth and stuff like that. So it was, I really like that. Even the tables were good tables, and I'm a visual person. So when things are either in graphs or tables and not excessively, I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I like that too. And also I was saying earlier, I like how every page had a little list of all the acronyms they were using on that page. I thought that was great because I'm forever having to go back and look and be like, what does this even mean? But like they told you on that page, and it made me like more into the whole thing because I could just keep reading, and it like flowed really well.
Yeah, like for example, I was like FN, and I definitely knew it was like femoral neck somewhere, like, because we're talking about osteoporosis, and I'm like, oh yeah, and it's right there, and so I agree with you. It was really it was a considerate writer.
Yes. Yeah, it was really well laid out. So we're happy with the way it was written up. And Jamie, there's a lot of other things we were happy about. So why don't you go on to that?
Okay. Well, I guess I should introduce myself. This is because I've been off for a couple months. This is Jamie Lowy, home health physical therapist and usually frequent contributor to the Senior Rehab group. So one thing I liked, first of all, it was a good study design. It was a randomly controlled group of participants, and they did a good job of keeping track of all the participants in the study, whether they dropped out, how they continue, through the program. And one of the things that stood out with this particular study is that one of their questions that they were asking was whether or not there were going to be any adverse events, which isn't very common to see in a research study. And they tracked that, and they did come across one adverse event. And Tali was saying that we were kind of held on a little bit of suspense when we saw that one of the high intensity resistance trainers experienced a problem with her back during a deadlift. And we thought, oh, great, we're going to have a fracture here. Now, it turns out it was just a little bit of a muscle spasm, and she was able to participate, I think a couple weeks after she had the incident. So they did set out to prove that this type of intervention is feasible in a supervised manner for people to participate in. And they did a nice job doing that. We did kind of maybe question at times why they picked certain exercises that they incorporated. But I think in general, we were pretty happy with what level of intensity that they put the participants through compared to the control group. And the control group was, walking, some low resistance exercises, the kind of thing that we might expect people to do either on their own or, who knows? Troy, you're right. Ankle pumps don't cause back spasms unless you're doing them in bed. That's a known fact, by the way. Cindy Kraft can back me up on that one. In any case, the other thing about this particular study that we also liked is that it kind of got us thinking about just intensity of exercise in general, and that a lot of us in working with the older adults still have some preconceived notions about what we think they can tolerate and what they can't, based on other conditions like, say, osteoporosis. A lot of us have been taught to be very careful about loading up the spine because of the risk of fractures. And so this was a good study in that it showed us that we do want to be cautious about certain things, but that with an otherwise healthy older adult female, we should maybe be a little bit more adventurous in terms of the exercise choices we make and how we go about having them participate.
Yeah, I think that was really good for a lot of us. I think that was the biggest part, is it really, with the 80 to 85% intensity, it really challenged us on what people were thinking and really helped break us out of that kind of box of, that ageist thought that we all have, that like older people need gentle things. So maybe not. That was good. There were some things we didn't like. And Erin, could you point out what some of you thought the flaws were?
Sure. The biggest one that stood out to me was when they were reporting these really interesting sounding changes in bone mineral density in the subjects who did the high intensity intervention. They didn't really provide any context for what that means clinically. So like they would say like amazing 2% increase in and it was like, wow, so cool. But then it's like, what does it mean? So that's my criticism. And I keep looking at Troy's messages on the chat and it's distracting me. So
I only made one message, by the way.
No, I've seen a couple, Troy. I see them popping up. Erica, you also noticed something, and we were talking about, we're using like an 80 to 85% intensity. What was something that you noticed could be an issue there as well?
So we talked a little bit about how basically the carryover into like what an exercise program might look like for someone in the home or even in a skilled nursing facility. Not every clinic has big weights and big barbells and things like that for people to be doing this with. So I think there's just some questions that need still to be answered about how to best get this type of stimulus in other settings, in a home exercise program or in a skilled nursing facility, because not everybody has a pull-up bar at home, and part of the exercise for this program was a impact loading, where basically people were doing these jump facilitated with their arms on a pull-up bar. But overall, I think the big message is Jamie was mentioning earlier, where this will hopefully just help clinicians start to feel more comfortable loading up their patients, because there were no adverse events, even with the 85% 1 rep max loading. So that's...
We don't know, is it the combination of the exercises that they chose, or like did each individual exercise have an effect? Because, like Erica was saying, I can't really have people doing jump chin-ups on the parallel bars at work. Like they just don't get high enough. It's not going to happen. So by not doing that, am I missing out on something, or is it just the other loading components? That would be interesting to see that teased out as well.
Well, the good news, though, is, and this is what I also like about this particular research, is that good research is hard. And when you go through a study like this, it should be forcing you to ask more questions. So now we could look at the different exercise interventions and take a look at a deadlift versus this chin-up drop, and then look at the difference in spinal loading. And then maybe that would be something that we could look at with even an EMG study, and looking at the muscle activation in certain areas of the spine or within the femur, to find out if that's having some different effect, so that it could lead to some other studies down the road away. But you're right, we don't really know what's going to be more effective. So, let's do all of them, I guess, as best as possible.
I think all of them sound fun. So I'm down.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts or anything else they want to add in here? No, I think for once, the Game Changers were happy with this article. We liked the way they laid it out. We liked the methods that they used. We were happy with the way they kept track of it. And overall, we felt like it could actually be a really good game changer for us clinically. Something we could all kind of put into use right away. So.
For once, we didn't destroy an article.
Maybe we're getting soft.
I don't know. This was a really well-written article. It was a lot of pages. They had a really long discussion, a lot of drafts. So.
But we might be spoiled now. So now when we get articles, we're going to expect them to be of this high quality. So it's going to put a lot more pressure on the selection committee.
Selection committee is going to have some issues. Let's read them all first. Yeah, we might be. We might be spoiled by this. This was a good one. All right. So if that's it, please check out the article. High intensity resistance impact training improves bone mineral density and physical function in postmenopausal women with osteopenia and osteoporosis, aka the LIFTMOR trials. So, all right. Have a good night, and
don't forget to stay funky.
Hit me. Thank you for listening to the Senior Rehab Podcast. If you only listen to these podcast episodes, you are missing out on 90% of the Senior Rehab Project. Hop on over to seniorrehabproject.com, where you can join the movement that's advancing care for older adults. You can join for free or become a part of the Game Changers, where you can get some free gear and access to our monthly meetup. Just go to seniorrehabproject.com. I appreciate y'all, and I'll talk with you soon. But in the meantime, do not forget to stay funky.